99.9 KTDY, the best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. Black Eyed Peas. Doc, you eat Black Eyed Peas?
Hey, that's a good entrance song there. That'll get you going in the morning there. That's
All right, at 8:17, the Doc's in. It's Dr. Kevin with Wellness Wednesday on KTDY from the Bryant Wellness Institutes of Acadiana. So what's going on, Doc?
Man, I'm excited about the show today. I've been waiting to make this announcement for quite some time. We ordered some new machines, some new technology that we've been waiting to get in, and we've been checking the mail every day, and we finally got them in. And so we took delivery of a new system today that is a real technological advancement for the treatment of musculoskeletal pain. It's called rapid release technology. So today's show is going to be all about how it works, why you may have chronic pain in the body, and what we can do to help that. So I've been waiting on this show for several weeks, and I'm real excited about it. So we were so impressed by this new rapid release technology that we didn't just order one machine or two, we ordered three.
Well,
oh, this must be good.
Yeah, and so I'm super excited about it. So today's show, we're going to explain how rapid release technology works for the relief of chronic musculoskeletal pain. Now, almost all musculoskeletal pain, and I mean almost 100% of pain in your body has one thing in common. Something called fibrous adhesions. Now, fibrous adhesions are like scar tissue that develops from old injuries. And so if we look at any pain in the body,
like right now.
Yeah.
I've been struggling with my back.
Okay. So
lower back pain right now, and it's actually upper too. And they tell me that's where I hold my stress.
Right.
I've heard that all of my life. That's where you hold your stress.
Right. Does that really make any sense?
No.
Okay. So if we look into this deeper and deeper, and we keep asking the question of why. Okay, you have pain there. Why? And we look at the tissues. Okay, you may have fibrous, you may have muscle spasms. Why? And we keep looking deeper and deeper till we get down to the tissue level, and we look at that tissue under a microscope. You're more than likely going to have something there called fibrous adhesions. Now, when I say musculoskeletal pain, I'm talking about pain from the body, the joints, the bones, the muscles, the tendons, the bursa, the rotator cuff, the knees. Pain from a kidney stone is not what we're talking about. We're talking musculoskeletal pain. So we're talking wrist, feet, knee, back, neck, those things. Now, almost 100% of this body pain, when you get right down to the underlying cause of it, is fibrous adhesion. So let's talk about what that is. So let's take a rotator cuff tear for an example. You know, when a patient comes in and says, oh, well, my shoulder hurts because I have a rotator cuff tear. Mm-hmm. Well, how long has it been there? 5 years. Does that make sense? If your body has a tear, I mean, if you tear your skin, how long does that take to heal? So
not 5 years.
Not 5 years. Your body is not going to let something be torn for 5 years. It just doesn't happen. You know, your body repairs itself.
Right.
Now, it repairs it. It will repair that heel over with something called a fibrous adhesion. It's like a scar tissue. So we all have a lifetime of small, uncorrectable injuries that have formed scar tissue and fibrous adhesions. Now, sometimes people say, well, I haven't had any injuries. You definitely have. The average person has had over 1,000 traumas in their lifetime by the age of 40. You know, you add up all of the bicycle accidents, the skateboards, the football, the other sports, the car injuries, the falls, the lifting on something heavy. I mean, you add all of that up over your lifetime, you have had traumas, probably 1,000 of them. Mm-hmm. And when tissue is damaged, it repairs itself by forming scar tissue. So the reason that rotator cuff is still hurting you is not because it's still torn. That tear was probably healed in a few weeks. But now you have fibrous adhesion, and this means that the body builds almost like a patch of scar tissue over that tear or over that injury. And that patch of scar tissue is full of pain receptors and can become a source of chronic pain. And it's also very fibrous, so it reduces the range of motion. So that torn rotator cuff will now grind and pop whenever you move your shoulder, and it will be lack of range of motion, so maybe you can't bend it back as far. And it will also be very painful. So
now this machine, this new equipment that you have, will it discover that or will it fix that?
It will fix that. It's one of the newest only technologies out there where we can target these fibrous adhesions and get rid of them. So follow me through this real quickly. So maybe 5 years ago, you were pull starting your lawnmower, and over the next few days, your shoulder was sore because you created micro tears in the tendons. But then it stopped hurting because the body healed that over with fibrous adhesion or with scar tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, a few weeks later or a few years later, that patch will contract and get tough and painful, and it will form fibrous adhesions. Now, if I add up all of those little injuries that you didn't think were a big deal and healed up over time, in a few weeks, but later on, as we age, these fibrous adhesions come back to be a great source of chronic pain, especially in patients with old shoulder injuries, back injuries, fibromyalgia, arthritis. These things are all a result of fibrous adhesions. So if I add up all of these little incidences, these 1,000 traumas of little small tears and patchwork of scar tissue and fibrous adhesions in your body, no wonder that you have excess pain or chronic pain. And it doesn't matter what you want to name it. You can name it carpal tunnel syndrome, you can name it rotator cuff, you can name it bone on bone, you can name it bursitis. They like to name things. Mm-hmm. They have all these fancy names for these conditions with very little solutions. And people think if you name what they have, I have rotator cuff, that's why my shoulder's hurting.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, that's their answer.
Your shoulder still hurts.
Yeah, and so I go, okay, now what? And they look at me like I don't know. And so it doesn't matter what it's been named. You can name it what it is, but how do we fix it? So the underlying tissue. What the underlying tissue is doing is what's causing these things. And fibrous adhesions are the underlying problem with almost all body pain. It doesn't matter what, you can boil it down. Let's keep digging into it. And when you get right down to it and look at the tissue under microscope, it's fibrous adhesions that are actually causing the pain. So when we get back, I'm going to tell you how this new rapid release technology works. It's like nothing that has ever been released to reduce these fibrous adhesions in the body. And the really cool thing is it leaves the healthy tissue around it completely untouched. You see, every time we get in and try to reduce these fibrous adhesions, either through deep tissue pressure or with something called cross-fiber therapy we do with our thumb, the problem is that you can't target just the fibrous adhesion and you end up damaging the tissue around it.
Sure.
So you're actually spreading it out. And this new technology only targets the damaged tissue. So
this new equipment, you think you're the only one in the area who has it?
I think so. Yeah, okay. I haven't heard of anybody else who has it.
I bet it ain't cheap.
No, and we have 3 of them. So I'm gonna go. I'm going to go through the details after the break of exactly how this new rapid release technology works, and you just may find that it may help you finally be free of these pains, no matter what they've been called. So stay tuned.